Everyone's talking about culture change and consolidating culture right now. And there's one core part of culture change strategy that most people get wrong and nobody talks about. And there's one simple test that you can do to make sure that doesn't happen to you as a leader and to your organization. Let me start with a little story for you. A woman by the name of Elizabeth Newton, a researcher, she did a tapping experiment. She took a group of people to tap a song and a group of people who had to guess the song. Now, the song was Happy Birthday. Most people know Happy Birthday. My kids love Happy Birthday. We grow up knowing and loving Happy Birthday. Yet, when the tappers tapped out Happy Birthday, guess what percentage of people actually recognised the song? Well, I thought I've got to try this experiment on my 12-year-old. He lives for his birthday all year long. Anyway, I tapped the song and he didn't get it. And I was really surprised. And when I went and checked the research, only 2% of people guess the song is Happy Birthday. Now, why is this relevant? Well, let's explore this in the context of driving culture change. Now, Happy Birthday is the messaging. It's the song that the leadership have decided they want in their organisation. And you've got to get the basics right. There's got to be a really good foundation to the values and the behavioural norms that you really want in your people. Yeah? So the words that you use, the language that you use, the way you communicate it and the way it becomes a song within the organisation has to be really clear. The second basic you've got to get right in your organisation is not to tell people how to think and behave, because nobody wants that anymore. We all want to be responsible, but we do all want to belong. So you've got to let your people own the values and find their own way to interpret their values. There's no point having values like communicate, collaborate, because who wouldn't want to do that? Let's go for something that people can own and interpret for their own roles. So something like bring people with, make things happen, be an ambassador, excellent client service. Let me choose how to show up for you. Let your values and the culture you want to create be about unity, but not about uniformity. Now, for me, those are absolute basics, and really not everybody does get those right. And that's just for the launch, okay? So you launch your values, you launch your culture campaign, and you go out with a big bang, and there's loads of energy and investment and all of that behind it. The critical part that people get wrong is the what next. This is a long game. Establishing a culture and embedding it so deep into your organization so that it truly means something to people, a bit like Nike with let's do it. That's external, but we all get it, and it's not hard to get your head around what it means. You need it for a long time. It needs to be embedded. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And where it falls down is when the leaders get distracted or the leaders get bored. I've seen firsthand up front when an organisation was performing really well, had transformed the whole performance, the morale, financial performance, because of embedding a deep-rooted culture of ownership. And when the leader of that organisation had the opportunity to reinforce further their response, I think we've done enough. And I get it. When you're in the thick of it and you've thought about it and you're living it and eating and breathing, you think it's enough. Or you're distracted by business priorities. I get that too. But that's the wrong call. And that's the reason that culture change strategies don't work. And there's enough research out there on how to get the basics right and how many culture change strategies don't work. So let's get it right. Let's look at the one thing that people don't pay enough attention to get it right. So this is the point I'm going to introduce a fitness metaphor. You knew I was going to. It's rooted in a lot of the work that we do. And the fitness metaphor for driving culture change effectively and keeping it going is skipping. So we launch our culture strategy. We have a set of values. We communicate it. We go really fast at the beginning, and then we slow down, and eventually we trip because we get distracted by other things, and we're fatigued because my heart rate's high, and it's hard work to keep the culture change strategy going. But as with most fitness sports, this is a game of endurance. This is about cadence, and this is about pace. And so the best culture change strategies know it's a game of endurance. We know we've got to set a pace, and we need a cadence that we can keep going, and we don't get distracted, and we don't get bored, and we don't trip up. But even if we do trip up, we can carry on again. Okay? So let's relate it to driving culture change and 4 C's of driving culture change: constancy, clarity, consistency, and campaigns. 4 C's. Constancy. In every communication from leadership, in all aspects of life, the values, the behaviours are omnipresent every day. Consistency. We have a vocabulary that we get used to, that we know how to work with, that we understand what it means and we know how to interpret, that we can relate to, that makes the culture accessible to us. Clarity. Make it so easy for people to want to belong. Make it easy for people to get involved. Make it easy for people to show up as themselves for the behaviours and the environment that you want. And campaigns. Think about your employees as consumers of culture. And in the same way that you see global consumer campaigns play out around the world, think about embedding your culture with consumer campaigns. So we've got the 4 C's that will give us our pace, our cadence and our endurance. The question is, how do we scale it? Because right now I'm one leader who's super passionate. But if you're a global organisation, you could have thousands of people around the world. You might have field workers, people who aren't exposed to corporate comms. How do you get the message through in the way that we want them to know it's happy birthday, it's your values, it's your behaviours, and it's so crystal clear that they can own it for themselves? Well, imagine this is a skipping rope the size of the world. You are the leadership. You have the ends. You can turn it. You can make it go with the cadence. You can load in the language. You can load in the expectation. You can role model the behaviours constantly, consistently, all day, every day. And people want to belong. They will want to jump in, just like you did when you were a kid in the playground. So let's manage the communication, the way we embed culture, the way we link it to our performance, to our remuneration, to our incentives. Bring it into everyday life with your giant skipping rope around the world. And I can tell you this, even if you don't have the basics right, and a story here, one particular organisation, the HR director made up the values, which astounds me, but they did. And because there was constancy, clarity, and consistency and a campaign-led approach within that organisation, every employee knew exactly what was expected of them, how to behave, and they saw the leaders role modelling it. And you know the test of how we knew that that was the case? Simple test. And it doesn't cost you lots of money and you don't need lots of consultants. Simple test. You talk to your most junior people in the organisation. You talk to the newest people in the door and you ask them, why do you come to work every day? Describe our culture. What is expected of you? What do you value in this place of belonging? And there will be your answers. There you will know if you are skipping at the right cadence, with the right clarity, with the right consistency, and with the right campaign. And you as a leader will know if you drop the rope or if you've still got the rope turning. You will know if your culture change strategy is working, and you will know exactly where to invest if you've tripped up. We have a responsibility to our people, and we can drive unbelievable performance for our people, with our people, for our business. Let's play jump rope.